All right, welcome to Talking Shop. It's just Matt and I because we love you. No, the other guys are ones at a little conference, the other ones overseas, I think, enjoying some R&R. But we got a nice short text today that's chock full. Matthew 11, 25 to 30. There's a lot in here, a lot of good opportunities for preaching about what it is to be chosen, to bear the burden of Christ, all that kind of stuff. A lot going on in these little few verses, but we'll get into that, have a good discussion about it all. Take a moment to like and subscribe, and always you can go to craftpreaching.com, and there'll be articles there on this text and the other texts as well. So lots of opportunities to kind of flesh this out and help you in your preaching. So Matthew 11, 25 to 30. Let's get after it.
I'm alone in every way, yet I'm still welcome in the arms of
all right, Matthew chapter 11, 25 through 30. At that time, Jesus declared, what is that time? The context here, it just kind of drops in, right?
Yeah, if we're just preaching this text, it drops in.
Yeah. You've got the woe to the unrepentant cities right before this.
Prior to that, you hear that John the Baptist is in prison and sends the messenger, so you get that whole, are you the one? And then you get Jesus talking about what did you come out to see? So obviously Jesus is thinking about the kingdom coming and what that looks like.
And there's kind of like chaos around.
And the response of the people. That maybe the response hasn't been the way that it should have been, or way that you would expect it to be. And so now you get this move, if you will, to the unrepentant cities. But then you come back now, and as Jesus is working through all of that, there's almost this aha moment, or at least that's the way it kind of appears in the text.
Right.
This is the way the plan is going. So.
Yeah. You get the look at him, a glutton and a drunkard, friend of tax collectors and sinners, right? And then you get the woe to those who would dismiss his work in the kingdom. And then at that time, Jesus declares, I thank you, Father. So it's this sort of like a prayer, if you will. Lord of heaven and earth, that you have hidden these things from the wise and understanding and revealed them to the little children.
Yeah.
All right. What's that mean? What's he getting at here?
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is almost, if you will, going back to the Sermon on the Mount, the blessed are the poor in spirit, blessed are the humble. The idea that there's a spiritual distinction, class distinction, if you will, or almost the Isaiah language. Those who are supposed to see cannot see, and those who are blind are the ones who are seen, if you will. And so looking out on this, and he's been talking to everybody. He's been talking to tax collectors and sinners. He's also been talking to the Pharisees and the Sadducees. And the tax collectors and the sinners are the ones who seem to be like, dude, this is the guy.
Yeah.
And it's the Pharisees and the Sadducees, the ones who are in power and who are supposed to be connected to God and all of that, who are saying, we don't think you're doing things the right way. We don't think you're part of this whole thing. And so Jesus is seeing that, and obviously you get the woe to the cities on that behalf.
Right.
Because there you get the language of if the mighty works that have been done among you were done there, they would have repented a long time ago. So you're starting to get this distinction, if you will, between the lowly, or those who are lowly by worldly standards, and those who are not, and how that's being turned on its head.
Yeah, things are getting flipped upside down for sure.
Yeah.
And these are fun things to preach on, I think, where you're turning over commonalities, the ways people are going to normally understand power structures and importance and all that. And and here is Christ flipping things upside down. Regularly does so. I was thinking in there too, where he says reveals it to little children. I can't help but think, a few chapters later in Matthew 18, you're going to get who's the greatest.
Yeah.
And he takes the little kid, right? Goes, here you go.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think that's the different word there in the
Okay,
Greek, but still, I mean, you can make that
the small, the insignificant.
As one professor said, exegetically, shaky ground. Homiletically, you can preach.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. Yeah, it's the way rhetoric works.
Right,
You can do these things at times.
Yeah.
So, but that's been revealed to the unexpected.
The lowly, yeah.
The lowly.
And by the way, if you look kind of back into the prophets and all of that, for this is the way that God revealed the kingdom was going to come. You can even think of I can never remember the chapter. I need to remember this. I think it's Deuteronomy 7. God did not choose you because you were the greatest of all of the nations, but because you were the weakest.
Yeah.
So that His glory might be shown through that.
Yeah. That's good.
And so, kind of seeing that again of this is how God comes into the world.
Then,
I was even thinking 1 Corinthians. I just used that as one of my epistles not too long ago, so I won't. But God chose what was weak in the world to shame the strong.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Is that where he goes? Consider yourself.
Yes. That's exactly
because
where
you can kind of do that here, even with you can kind of like look at your people when you're preaching and be like, he's talking about you here.
Yeah.
Like you didn't have this all figured out. Right. You didn't have. But he's revealed this to you.
Yeah.
He's chosen. You're the elect. You're the ones he's called.
That's right. And to put this in the context, preaching-wise, because we've just done it exegetically, but homiletically, we had the do not think I've come to bring peace but a sword.
Sure.
And this reversal, if you will, is going to bring the division. It's going to cause the division because those who are going to want to go by worldly standards are going to look at those who aren't, and they're going to turn on them, and they're going to think that they're not, that they're almost enemies, if you will, of what's happening. And here God is doing this in such a way where He's going to kill His beloved Son in order to bring redemption and salvation to the world, which doesn't make any sense to everything that's going on.
All right. So yes, Father, for such was your gracious will. That little verse turned out to be pretty complex when we were trying to translate it.
Yeah.
But I think that's the gist of it. This is His will, His
Such was
goodness.
the favor you set before yourself, or you revealed before yourself. And I think I brought up Moses in Exodus 34 there, where God says you can't see everything, but this is
set this before.
Yeah, I'm going to set this before you. My mercy and my steadfast love. So. Right.
And this is what He's revealed. He's given Himself to the little children. All things have been handed over to me by my Father, and no one knows the Son except the Father, and no one knows the Father except the Son, and anyone to whom the Son chooses to reveal Him.
Yeah. Double predestination after all. We read this and I think we make it a selective statement. We make it exclusive. Oh, whoever Jesus pulls back the curtain is here's the Father.
Yeah.
And yet, again, reading from the repentant cities, He's chosen to reveal it to a large group. Not everybody has everybody who has seen it has acknowledged it, but there are some who have rejected that, been like, we saw it, but we don't think that's correct, if you will. So He's revealed it to a lot of people.
Yeah.
And so in that sense, he's not being, here in a couple of weeks, I think, maybe it's even next week, we're going to get the parable of the sower and the scattering of the seed.
Yeah.
It's just willy-nilly. It's not exclusive, if you will. So I think we always read that statement as exclusive, and really it's much broader than that.
So you get this, so that the text is kind of a channel of revelation.
Sure.
So all things are happening to me by the Father. No one knows the Son except for the Father. No one knows the Father except the Son, right? So you got this, here's the revelation track. And anyone to whom the Son chooses, as you said, which is a big swath, right?
Yeah.
But the point is, I think, going back to what we said before, is this is not your mountaintop to climb, and you're going to, that's not, this is what he's praying. I thank you, you didn't do that. It's not for the rich and the powerful, the mighty, that have figured it out on their own.
Right.
This is the lowly, those who have been given to, which is this wide thing. Now, a lot of those, though, that brings forth confession and repentance. Sure. I can't do it on my own. I didn't do it on my own.
Yeah.
Or, you know.
Yeah, or the it's in Luke, but the parable of the Pharisee and the tax collector, right? It's revealed or it's understood by those. It's good news to those who were dejected because they didn't feel worthy. They didn't feel capable. And in essence, it's exactly those who receive the kingdom, going to your Matthew 18 and the little children.
Yeah.
It's those who recognize that they're not able to do it on their own that find such celebration in the kingdom come among them.
Yeah, which moves, that's, great segue into the next line. Come to me, all who labor and are heavy laden, right?
Yeah.
I will give you rest. Those that they've striven, they've pressed on, and they've broken, and they got nothing left.
Yeah, I think of Luther and why the gospel, as it finally kind of came upon him, was so revolutionary, because he had tried. He was, I think in some of his writings, he says he's mad at God because God has given him this path that he's unable to accomplish.
Sure.
And all of a sudden he rereads that language. He's like, wait a minute.
Yeah, this is all gift.
This is actually gift come to me.
Yeah.
And I didn't have to strive for any of it. So this is the...
Yeah, so it's, the language is those who are wearied, those who are under a burden.
Yeah.
I mean, again, preaching this, man, you can mine the depths here, because these are your people.
Yeah.
And they come in, they drag themselves in there Sunday after Sunday. They feel the weight of their sin, their failure, of broken relationships, all these things.
Yeah.
And you're like, you're just the ones he wants. Like, he's ready for you, right?
Or you may have to break down your people.
Or you have to do that too.
You have to bring them to that point, because they're walking in going, look at me, I'm coming to church, look at all the good works I'm doing for God. And so you're going to have to bring them a little bit of law, but I mean, this definitely ends for anybody who ultimately is broken, anybody who feels like they're inept, toward the end of your sermon. This is the gospel message.
Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and lowly in heart, and you will find rest for your souls.
Mm-hmm.
For my yoke is easy and my burden is light.
Mm-hmm.
So
and I think you translated that as my yoke is comfortable. Which I think is important, because you do, in following Christ, there is a yoke. Take up your cross, right, and follow me. And so there is a burden that comes from that, but it's not a burden now that you bear alone.
Yeah.
And it's
it's not a burden of the law.
No, it's almost like the mantle, if you will, that Elijah gives to Elisha. He walks out behind him and he puts his cloak upon him and he says, "You're mine now." Yeah. And that was a burden, if you will, but it's a joyous burden, and it's a burden that now Christ shares with you, because again, it is His yoke. It is His to carry as well. Right. So He's allowing you almost to come under His yoke and to walk it with Him.
Yeah, yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, because the completed work is done by Him, right? And you are called, I guess, to hold to that promise.
Yeah.
To find strength there.
And being under that yoke means that you're going to be guided to where you need to go. So I mean, when you're under a yoke, that yoke is what gives you direction.
Yeah.
And so again, it's not heavy. It's not like you're pulling all of this. It's like this is how he's now guiding you to the place where you need to be.
Very good.
So.
All right. Short and sweet. I mean, a lot in there.
A lot in there.
Short verses, but are pericope, but a lot there. Take a moment to like and subscribe. Leave any comments below on maybe how you might preach this, kind of angles you're looking at. It always helps the conversation overall. I already said like and subscribe, right?
I think so.
All right. Well, then God bless your preaching.